Welcome back to Take the Leap Management and our final lecture in this series on digital transformation. In our first session, we explored what digital transformation is, why it is inevitable, and how it builds on earlier industrial revolutions. In our second, we turned to its impact on industries, governments, and society at large. We saw how the digital is reshaping business models, services, and daily life. Now, in this concluding lecture, we turn our attention to the backside of digital transformation. Because while we often celebrate the opportunities of the digital age, it is equally important to reflect on the risks, the unintended consequences, and the responsibilities that come with them. And central to this reflection is ethics. Ethics is not an optional afterthought in digital transformation. It is a guiding principle. When we talk about inclusion, privacy, education, democracy, and sustainability, we are not merely speaking about technical challenges. We are speaking about ethical choices, what kind of society we want to create, and what responsibilities we accept in the process. So today we will critically examine 5 major areas of concern: exclusion and inequality, privacy and surveillance, knowledge and education, democracy and fairness, and sustainability. And in each we will highlight the ethical dimension. Finally, we will end with a broader reflection on responsibility and the future. Let us begin with exclusion. One of the great promises of digital transformation is accessibility. Services that were once limited to the wealthy or the urban elite can now, in principle, be distributed broadly at low cost. Online banking, telemedicine, e-learning, and e-commerce all have this potential. Yet the reality is different. Across the world, we see stark digital divides. In the global north, broadband and smartphones are nearly universal. In parts of the global south, connectivity is limited, unreliable, and expensive. Even within wealthy countries, rural areas often lag behind cities, and socioeconomic status shapes who has access to devices, skills, and digital services. The divide is not only geographical or economic, it is also social and cultural. Gender gaps in access persist. People with disabilities often find digital platforms poorly designed for their needs. Older generations may lack the skills or confidence to participate fully. The ethical issue here is one of justice. If digital transformation is inevitable, then it is unjust for some to be excluded from its benefits. Equality of opportunity is a fundamental ethical principle, and digital transformation must be designed to uphold it. Governments and organizations must therefore think proactively about inclusion. This means investing in infrastructure, subsidizing access, designing for accessibility, and providing digital literacy programs. To ignore these responsibilities is not merely inefficient, it is ethically unacceptable. The second challenge is privacy. Digital transformation relies on data. Every time we search, click, shop, or travel, data is collected. Companies use it to personalize experiences. Governments use it to improve services. Researchers use it to gain insights. But this data collection also creates risks. It enables surveillance, both commercial and governmental. Social media platforms track our preferences to target ads. Governments may monitor communications in the name of security. Employers may track employees in the name of productivity. At stake are fundamental ethical principles: autonomy, consent, and dignity. Do individuals truly understand what data is being collected and how it is used? Can they meaningfully consent, or are they coerced by systems that make refusal impractical? Do people retain control over their own information, or do they become objects of manipulation? The debate about privacy is, at its heart, a debate about power. Who holds the data and who decides how it is used? If a handful of corporations control the digital infrastructures of the world, what does that mean for individual freedom and collective democracy? Ethically, the challenge is to balance benefits with rights. Personalized healthcare, for example, may require access to sensitive genetic data. But how do we ensure that patients' rights are not violated? Smart cities may rely on cameras and sensors, but how do we protect citizens from constant surveillance? The answers require not only technical safeguards, such as encryption and anonymization, but also legal frameworks, transparent governance, and above all, ethical commitments to respect human dignity. The third challenge is knowledge. In a digital world, knowledge is both more accessible and more contested than ever before. On one hand, the internet has democratized information. Anyone with a connection can access vast libraries of knowledge, open courses, and research databases. On the other hand, the same platforms that provide knowledge also spread misinformation, disinformation, and conspiracy theories. The ethical issue here is truth and responsibility. In a digital society, who is responsible for ensuring that knowledge is accurate, reliable, and accessible? Education plays a crucial role. Students today must not only learn digital skills, but also critical digital literacy, the ability to evaluate sources, question biases, and navigate information responsibly. Lifelong learning is essential because digital transformation continuously reshapes the skills that are relevant in the workforce and in society. Ethically, education is not just a personal benefit, it is a public good. To withhold access to knowledge or to allow misinformation to flourish unchecked undermines democracy and equality. Universities, schools, governments, and companies all share responsibility for ensuring that digital transformation enhances rather than diminishes knowledge. Fourth, let us consider democracy. Digital platforms are now the primary spaces where public discourse occurs. News, debates, campaigns, and movements all unfold online. Algorithms decide which posts we see, which news stories appear, and which voices are amplified. This raises ethical concerns about fairness, transparency, and accountability. If algorithms are biased, they may reinforce discrimination. If platforms prioritize engagement over accuracy, they may spread misinformation. If governments or corporations manipulate digital communication, they may undermine democracy itself. The ethical challenge is clear. How do we ensure that digital transformation strengthens rather than weakens democracy? How do we protect a free speech while preventing harm? How do we hold platforms accountable for the content they distribute? These are not easy questions. They require careful balancing of rights and responsibilities. But one thing is certain, we cannot ignore them. To do so would be to risk the erosion of trust, legitimacy, and fairness in the digital public sphere. The fifth challenge is sustainability. Digital transformation often presents itself as clean and efficient. But behind the sleek devices and seamless services lie vast infrastructures of servers, networks, and manufacturing processes. Data centers consume enormous amounts of electricity. Devices generate e-waste that is difficult to recycle. Mining for rare earth elements depletes resources and damages ecosystems. The environmental cost of digital transformation is significant. The ethical issue here is our responsibility to future generations. If we pursue digital growth without regard for sustainability, we may create short-term convenience at long-term cost. At the same time, digital technologies can also be part of the solution. Smart grids can optimize energy use. AI can improve logistics to reduce waste. Remote work can lower commuting emissions. The challenge is to ensure that the net effect of digital transformation is positive for the environment. This requires life cycle thinking, considering environmental impact from production to disposal, and a commitment to align digital innovation with the principles of sustainability. Across these 5 areas, one message emerges. Ethics cannot be separated from digital transformation. The choices we make about access, privacy, knowledge, democracy, and sustainability are ethical choices. Who bears responsibility? Governments, certainly, through regulation and policy. Companies, through corporate responsibility and ethical innovation. Universities, through research and education, but also each of us as citizens, consumers, and professionals. Ethics is not about perfection. It is about reflection, deliberation, and responsibility. It is about asking what is the right thing to do in this situation, who benefits, and who is harmed. What kind of society are we creating through our choices? As we close this series, let us return to the metaphor of the train. Digital transformation is a journey already underway, but the tracks are not fixed. We have choices about where the train goes, how it is powered, who gets a seat, and who drives it. Ethics is the compass that helps us make those choices. Without it, digital transformation risks becoming a force of exclusion, surveillance, manipulation, and exploitation. With it, digital transformation can be a force for inclusion, dignity, fairness, and sustainability. The future of digital transformation is therefore not only a technical project, it is an ethical project, and it is one that involves all of us. Thank you for joining this lecture and this series. My hope is that you leave not only with knowledge about digital transformation, but also with a sense of responsibility, to think critically, to act ethically, and to help shape a digital future that is worthy of our highest values.